So I had a lot of stored up salvage material. And in addition to all the sort of environmental reasons for using salvage, there's also sort of a magic when you like engage a building process and you kind of like go wandering in the world and go looking for materials that can show up to be useful in your project. And there's this sort of co-creative thing that happens, and it's really interesting, and you can kind of get feedback along the way. It's like when you go out looking for siding or you go looking for flooring, if you happen to find some that's like you need 105 square feet of flooring, and you find someone's got 110 square feet of used flooring, it's like there's this really interesting way where you can kind of tell if you're on the right track. And there's a creativity that comes through in the building process when you use salvage materials that's really interesting to me. And so I was always keen to kind of follow the thread, follow the sort of like where inspiration kind of takes me in. So my tiny house that I built is called the Pocket Shelter, and I got all the plywood for the sheeting I actually got off of Craigslist from an artist who was moving out of her artist studio, and she had it was a concrete floor, and she needed like an insulated, softer floor to work on. So she had this whole floor that was like covered in plywood, and she said, hey, if someone wants to come out and take this, they can have it. And it was really cool because it had all the marks of her art on it. It had all this paint splatters all over it. So when I put it on my house, there was this sort of like indication of its previous use, and it was really cool. And so there's lots of stories in my house of how just all these places to like use salvage materials showed up, and it was a fun process. And I also just now, this will be sort of my soft launch of a website for the Pocket Shelter. I no longer own it. We lived in it, my partner and I, who's here tonight. We lived in it for a few years, but I sold it last year. But over the years, some folks have asked me if I had plan sets available for it, and I'm just now putting this together. So pocketshelter.com is 80% finished right now, but eventually that's where the plans will be available, and photographs and a gallery and stuff like that, so you can check it out.
Very cool. Hi, my name is Amy, and I am one half of the team that created this book. I did a lot of the scouting, so I went and found a lot of the houses that were featured in the book. I conducted a lot of the interviews. I scheduled all the interviews, which dealing with time zones is something I never had to deal with before at any other job. And suddenly I was scheduling an interview with a guy in Australia. That was fun. But it's been a really fantastic journey of listening to everyone's really unique and colorful stories about how they poured so much love and time and attention into finding the perfect materials for their homes. And we got to listen to all these great stories and put them on paper for you guys. And so we're really just excited to launch it.
My name is Ryan Mitchell. In addition to running the conference, of course, we work over at thetinylife.com. And we put this book together. It was our second book after Tiny House Living, and it's a topic that comes up all the time. And so there was a lot of questions, there was a lot of need for information about recycled materials and reclaimed materials. And what I like about it, in kind of the style that we've done both books now, is we get background information, and then there's the stories, the journeys, the homes. And I think with reclaimed materials, you have this really unique set of stories that just come with it, not only from the building process, but finding the materials, and then the materials themselves have stories. And so it was a really fun book to write because we got to listen, learn, and then retell those stories throughout this process.
Very nice. I think I forgot to introduce myself for people that aren't in my track. I am hosting the B track. I'm Christy Wolf, and I'm also a tiny houser. My first house that I live in is reclaimed as well. So that's who I am. When you guys were telling your stories, nobody mentioned budget being a factor. Was that secondary?
I think using reclaimed materials inherently has an effect of decreasing your budget, but when you look at the labor that goes into it, it really doesn't decrease your budget.
You've got to have more time than money.
Yeah, so as long as you value your time at like a penny an hour, you will not make out money-wise. But as Aaron said, I think the magic that that's involved with taking something that has had a previous life and might kind of look a little dirty and dingy. You can give it a second life, and I remember when I bought my Surface Planer, that's now my favorite tool, because I had 250-year-old barn board that went through it and came out looking like new. And now it's on the ceiling of our tiny house, and it's by far our favorite part of it. So that was a lot of work, but it was completely worth it. So.
Just want to add a little bit onto that. There definitely was a financial motivation there as well. We did a spreadsheet where I kept track of everything that we purchased secondhand, which is quite a few things. All of our windows, our doors, the wood for our ceiling, all of our siding, our insulation, our house wiring. There's just a lot of different things. Partitions were actually old doors from family members' homes, so there's a lot of history, and at the same time, we actually did save. If you're looking at it with including your labor, obviously it's not going to come out in the figure that you would